guys, it's Alicia Rain and welcome to or welcome back to my channel Rainy Reads. Today's video I'm going to show you my Falling for Autumn readathon TBR. This is actually a readathon that I'm hosting myself. My last video that's gone up on this channel is my official announcement video, so I will have that link down below if you haven't seen it yet and are interested in figuring out more. Some quick basic information about the readathon. It's being hosted over on my Discord channel, which is also linked down below in the description, and it will be from Friday, September 12th all the way through Sunday, October 26th. So depending on when you're seeing this, there's a big chance that you still have time to join. This readathon is pretty casual. It's a bingo board style readathon with different prompts. There's reading prompts as well as treat yourself and activity and photo or social media prompts all on the board. So there's a mix of things in there. In this video, you'll see that I have 12 reading prompts and I'm allowing people to triple up reading prompts for the readathon, which means people could read anywhere from 4 to 12 books during the course of the readathon, and I really did that so all different kinds of readers feel like they can participate. If you have busier schedules than other people or just read at a slower pace, I wanted people to still feel like they could participate and try and get bingos or clear the bingo board. I tried to make the readathon pretty versatile and customizable to an individual. So yeah, that's all I'm really going to say about it. Like I said, if you want to know all of the information needed for the readathon, that will be linked down below in the description. So now that all of that is out of the way, let's get into what books I plan to read for the readathon. This is the stack that I have right here. I'm going to try and read 6 books during this readathon, so this is my priority TBR for the fall time. So let's just start talking about the books and what prompts they will fulfill. The first book I have here is Pumpkin, Spice, and Poltergeist. This is by Allie K. Mulford and K.L. Morrison. For all of these books, I'm going to read the synopsis on the back and then tell you which prompts they are fulfilling for the readathon. The last thing apothecary witch Jordan had on her mind was romance, but when she got witchy wasted, she cracked open the coffin of her love life and conjured the ghost of her ex-girlfriend. Jordan is in for a spell of trouble now that this snarky specter is determined to haunt her until she finds someone new. Enter Harlow, the new girl in town, who just wants a job in her sister's cafe, but she discovers that the spooky town of Maple Hollow is more than just a gimmick. Real magic lives here. But after run-ins with vampires and one-too-many grave cafe blunders, she's ready to hop on a broomstick and fly out of town, until she finds herself falling under the spell of the enchanting witch who asks her on a date. As sparks fly and cauldrons bubble, will this unlikely pair brew up a love potion that defies the ghostly odds, or will Jordan's spectral ex be the ultimate buzzkill to their budding romance? Grab your broomstick and buckle up for a cozy sapphic paranormal rom-com that's sure to cast a spell on your heart this fall season. So this book is actually going to cover 2 of my prompts. The first is the clown prompt, which is to read a supernatural or paranormal rom-com, and the second prompt is my Hydra one, which is to read a book that's in dual or multiple POV. Apparently this book is in dual POV. I did have to Google some different books to figure out which ones fit that criteria, and Google said this is told in 2 different perspectives, so I'm counting it towards the Hydra prompt. And I've actually never heard about this until I was looking up multiple point of view or dual POV paranormal rom-coms. So I thought this was really cute. I loved the cover. The premise sounded fun and interesting, so I'm really excited to read that during this readathon. Next is The Mist by Stephen King. In the wake of a destructive Maine summer thunderstorm, an impenetrable mist descends from the direction of a local military facility and infiltrates the small town of Bridgeton, Maine. David Drayton and his son Billy are swept into a living nightmare as unnatural and violent forces concealed by the mist begin to emerge, wreaking havoc in their wake. Now trapped in the local supermarket with a ragtag group of survivors, David unexpectedly faces a growing threat from within, one that promises to challenge the boundaries of sanity itself as humanity makes its last stand against unholy destruction. In this horrifying mist, hearing is seen and believing, and what you're about to hear, you'll never forget. I absolutely love Stephen King. He's one of my favorite authors. I've read at least 20 of his books already, and this is just one of many Stephen King books I still need to read that I own, and this is going to be filling my fairy prompt, which is to read a book under 250 pages. This actually comes in at 165 pages, so it's way shorter than I was expecting, but I'm very excited to finally get to this one. The next book is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Evie O'Neill has been exiled from her boring old hometown and shipped off to the bustling streets of New York City, and she is positively ecstatic. It's 1926 and New York is filled with speakies, Ziegfeld girls, and rakish pickpockets. The only catch is that she has to live with her Uncle Will and his unhealthy obsession with the occult. Evie worries he'll discover her darkest secret, a supernatural power that has only brought her trouble so far, but when the police call Will to the crime scene of a murdered girl branded with a cryptic symbol, Evie realizes her gift could help catch a serial killer. As Evie jumps headlong into a dance with a murderer, other stories unfold in the city that never sleeps, and unknown to all, something dark and evil has awakened. So this has actually been on my TBR for years. When I first started watching BookTube, this was a series that almost every booktuber was talking about, and I've only heard good things about this series, which goes straight into my first prompt that I'm putting with this book, and that is the mummy prompt, and that is to read a book that's been on your TBR for at least 3 years, and this has been on my TBR for at least 8, so that definitely fits that prompt. The next prompt that I'm pairing with this book is the vampire prompt, which is to read a book with a gothic setting or vibe. Now, this is also something I had to Google with different books I owned to see which would fit this criteria, because the only books I had on my TBR that I knew would fit that were classics, and I really didn't want to read a classic this year, so Google said that even though this book takes place in 1920s New York, it has a very strong gothic atmosphere and setting to it, so since Google said so, I'm pairing it with this one. And the other prompt that I'm pairing with this book is The Witch, and that is to read a book with magic or supernatural elements. The next book I plan to read is All Our Hidden Gifts by Caroline O'Donoghue. Maeve Chambers will do almost anything for attention, so when she finds a dusty pack of tarot cards at school, she soaks up the celebrity that comes with giving eerily accurate readings to her classmates. There's one person whose attention she can't capture though, her former best friend Lily O'Callaghan, whom she betrayed last year in an act that still makes Maeve cringe. When Lily is finally goaded into sitting for a reading, she selects a card that shouldn't be there at all. 2 days later, she disappears. Consumed by guilt, Maeve teams up with beautiful, sophisticated classmate Fiona and sexy, mysterious Ro, Lily's older sibling, to try to find her lost friend. But as the three combine their unnatural talents to bring Lily back, they must face the dark forces keeping her trapped before she's lost forever. This book fits my werewolf prompt, which is to read a book with a moon on the cover. If you look closely, we have a crescent moon behind the character, so I will be counting that towards that one. This is also a first book in a series, so I'm really hoping I enjoy this and can continue reading it. The next book is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. 27 years old and back living with her parents, she's still waiting for her life to begin. I'll do it later, she always says. She has time. Until Halloween night, when she is violently attacked by an unseen intruder suffering a catastrophic head injury. Doctors are certain that within a week the injury will trigger a deadly aneurysm. Jet never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her former best friend turned sister-in-law, her ex-boyfriend. She has just 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she has only her childhood friend Billy for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. Jet is going to solve her own murder. I love the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by this author. It's one of my favorite series ever. And I didn't even know this book came out in July. I just saw a video about this maybe a week or a week and a half ago, and I was just like, where was I? Why didn't I know about this? So I immediately had my boyfriend take me to Barnes & Noble to go buy this, and I'm just super excited. I've read some other books by this author before, and I've enjoyed all of them, and this synopsis sounds so intriguing and freaky, so I'm very excited to read this one. This will fill my ghost prompt, which is to read a horror or thriller book, and I'm also going to use this as my siren prompt, which is to listen to an audiobook in its entirety. If you've watched my announcement video, or if you plan to watch my announcement video for the readathon, I explained that even though the main goal for the siren reading prompt is to listen to an audiobook in its entirety, I said that you could read along as long as you're still listening to the book, because again, that is the main point of that prompt. I sometimes have a hard time focusing on a book, especially when there's just a lot going on in my surroundings. So I will be doing that for this book. There might be a few times where I am just listening to it, but I definitely want to read along as I'm listening. And those are the only 2 prompts that I'm pairing with this one. The last book I plan to read during the readathon is Insomnia by Stephen King. Ralph Roberts has a problem. He isn't sleeping so well these days. In fact, he's hardly sleeping at all. Each morning, the news conveyed by the bedside clock is a little worse. 3:15. 302, 245, 215. The books call it premature waking. Ralph, who is still learning to be a widower, calls it a season in hell. He's begun to notice a strangeness in his familiar surroundings, to experience visual phenomena that he can't quite believe are hallucinations. Soon, Ralph thinks he won't be sleeping at all. And what then? A problem, yes, though perhaps not so uncommon, you might say. But Ralph has lived his entire life in Derry, Maine, and Derry isn't like other places. As millions of Stephen King readers will gladly testify, they remember It, also set in Derry, and know there's a mean streak running through this small New England city. Underneath its ordinary surface, awesome and terrifying forces are at work. The dying, natural and otherwise, has been going on in Derry for a long, long time. Now Ralph is a part of it. So are his friends, and so are the strangers they encounter. You, gentle reader, may never sleep again. Welcome to Insomnia. I am so excited to read this. New viewers of my channel, or I don't talk about it too much on my videos here, but if you follow me over on my Bookstagram, you know that I absolutely love the book It. I love the movies. I love the miniseries that came out back in the 90s, I believe it was. And just having another book that takes place in that fictional town of Derry, I'm very excited to read this and see what's in store. And if you haven't noticed, this is a very big book. Some of you might think I'm crazy for trying to read this. I also think I'm crazy because this is about 780 pages long. So this is definitely going to be a challenge for me, and the size of this book is a good segue into the first prompt I'm pairing with this, and that is the Banshee prompt, which is to read a book that scares you. Now, in my announcement video, I explained a bunch of different ways one could interpret that, and I'm interpreting it in the sense of the length of a book that scares me. And yeah, this definitely fits that. Next, I am pairing this with the zombie prompt, which is to give a book a second chance at life, or in other words, pick up a book you DNF'd. And again, in the announcement video, I said that you could either do this with a book you fully DNF'd, did not plan to go back to, or you could do this with a book that you soft DNF'd, which is a book you put down but you intend to come back to. And this was a soft DNF for me. I think it was about 2 years ago I tried reading this. I got about 100 pages in, but it was just something I didn't really want to read. And this kind of segues into the third prompt, and that is the skeleton, which is to read a book that involves a death in some way. Like this said in the synopsis, our main character loses his wife. He's really dealing with grieving her, and it's not a spoiler because it's literally in the synopsis, but that's exactly how this book starts off, is our main character talking about the day that his wife died. So yeah, I DNF'd this. I wanted to come back to it. It was just very sad, honestly, reading about his emotional state, and I still had 700 pages to go basically, and I just didn't want to read it. But this is a book that I've had on my TBR for years that I've really wanted to read and get to. So now I'm putting it out here for the readathon. I have to read it, and I am very excited. These are all of the books that I plan to read for my readathon. I'm very excited to get to all of these, and I'm also a little nervous for some of these because I don't read a lot of horror or thriller books anymore. That is a genre that I used to read a lot of, and now I don't know, I just haven't really been grabbing it recently, but now is the perfect time to read books like that for the spooky season. Let me know if you've read any of these and how you felt about them, but please keep it spoiler free in the comments. Once again, if you would like to know more about the readathon, that video will be linked down below in the description box, along with a playlist of all of the other videos that I've uploaded on this channel and all of my links of different places you can find me. I hope you guys are doing well whenever you're watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!